Senator Moran.
Thank you, Laska Hurley. I'd like to welcome Minister McGinley to the House this evening, and I hope that you can provide some insight and some good news for the matter which I'm raising this afternoon. I just would like to raise the concerns and the issue of a young man whom I have met when his mother contacted me, a 22-year-old constituent of mine suffering from a rare debilitating condition called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, hypermobility type. This 22-year-old man is severely disabled as a result of this condition and displays marked widespread joint hypermobility. Basically speaking, he's constantly suffering dislocations, sometimes 17, 18 dislocations a day. He is prone, as I said, to recurrent dislocations and frequently requires hospital A&E admissions, particularly for his left shoulder, which is the only joint his mother reports that he cannot replace himself. So, I mean, I met this young man, and it is pitiful to see a young man in this condition where, you know, he can put his fingers and put his left shoulder, he is just unable to do it. And every 7 to 10 days, he's admitted to Our Lady of Lourdes Hospital, where he has to undergo an anaesthetic and be completely anaesthetised for his shoulder to be put back in. And this has been ongoing since he was diagnosed with it. It has interfered with his schooling, it has interfered with normal everyday activities that a young teenager would have participated in. After a case conference of consultants in 2012, it was accepted by the consultants here in Ireland that there was no one in Ireland that could treat this young man, and he was referred by the consultant orthopaedic surgeon. And I have all the data and the letters here that he was referred to Britain for treatment. His travel was approved by the Treatment Abroad scheme, and he went over, and it seemed that a solution was going to be in place where he could undergo a rehabilitation programme, which was due to commence in September 2012. He went to England and he was assessed by the orthopaedics team over there. However, on September the 14th last, the day before he was due to travel over for his treatment, he was informed that his costs would not be covered by the TAS scheme, and as it didn't cover second opinions was the reason why he has been given. And every time I've raised this matter, I've been told it doesn't cover a second opinion. But it had clearly been discovered that from the orthopaedic consultant, and I have the letter here where he replies back to the HSE and says, I'm a little puzzled by your letter. There is much correspondence, and it's in black and white, in regard to this gentleman's problem, in regard to his application for treatment abroad. This man has been seen by every specialist upper limb surgeon in Ireland. His case was discussed at a shoulder conference, and on foot of that case conference, his previous treatment in Britain was arranged. Given that he has already been seen by every upper limb specialist in Ireland, your comments are difficult to understand. And I must say, I have read through it. As I said, I went to meet this young man when I got such a distressed correspondence from his mother. And, you know, I just think it's dreadful that a 22-year-old who's frequently has to go into a wheelchair when the dislocations become too much. But I'm just at a total loss as to why, and I have raised the matter before, as to why this cannot be looked at again. You know, he got a letter back saying, reapply again, this is not a second opinion. This is what, or go back and have a look in CAPA, or go back to the orthopaedic surgeons. He has, and it is acknowledged here in writing, that he has been seen by every orthopaedic surgeon in the country. So, you know, I am just asking, and I'm hoping that perhaps, you know, you can give some insight into it and some good news for this young man who really is subjected to a terrible life. And, you know, as I said, it's interfered in him growing up, but it has also now lately interfered with him mentally, where I know that you know, there has been a danger to his life in recent months, where he just feels he's at a total loss, and that nobody can help him. You know, and I'd also just like to raise the fact that, you know, if it's a case of money or finance or what it is, I mean, how much is it costing every week for this man to be taken into, you know, in through A&E, to be taken to theatre every week, how much of the theatre costs and the costs of anaesthetic. So, you know, I would just be really grateful if some kind of a compromise or something could be brought to enable that ensure that this young man could lead the active life that he could live if he were given the correct treatment.
First of all, I want to thank Senator Moran for raising this matter and giving such a comprehensive and in-depth description of the situation that this man is experiencing. And I'd just like to say that the HSE operates a treatment abroad scheme for persons entitled to treatment in another EU, EEA member state or Switzerland under EU regulations 883 of 04, as per the procedure set out in EU regulations 987 of 09, and in accordance with the Department of Health guidelines. Within these governing EU regulations and the Department of Health guidelines, the TAS provides for the cost of approved treatment in another EU, EEA member state or Switzerland through the issue of Form S2, formerly known as E112. The TAS allows for an Irish-based medical consultant to refer a patient that is normally resident in Ireland for treatment in another EU, EEA member state or Switzerland, where the treatment in question meets certain criteria, is not available within the state, or is not available within a time normally necessary for obtaining it. Following clinical assessment, the referring consultant certifies the following: the treatment is medically necessary and will meet the patient's needs. The treatment is a proven form of medical treatment and is not experimental or test treatment. The treatment is in a recognised hospital institution and is under the control of a registered medical practitioner, and the hospital outside the state will accept EU EEA Form S2. The application to refer a patient abroad has to be assessed by the HSE normally within 15 to 20 working days, and a determination given before that patient goes abroad. Appointments should not be scheduled prior to a decision being reached on an application. The situation with this particular case is that the treatment abroad scheme of the HSE received an application from the person involved and issued a letter informing him that, in line with the governing EU regulations and Department of Health guidelines, his application did not meet the criteria for the scheme. This decision was confirmed in a review of the case by the General Manager of TAS. In order to advance this case, a letter was issued by TAS to the person concerned following the review, recommending that he seek a referral to the tertiary services in Ireland in the first instance, but also confirming that should his consultant identify a treatment as opposed to a request for second opinion, then he is free to reapply accordingly. The HSE is not permitted to transfer a patient's care abroad without recourse to the EU regulations mentioned above, until the HSE receives a valid application from the person. It is not possible to progress this matter any further at this stage.
Sinead, brief comment.
Is it okay if I just make a brief comment? I must say I'm extremely disappointed, you know, with this response yet again. It's certainly not giving it clear. I mean, it says, you know, that he must go back and look for the tertiary service. He has done that. We have the letter to prove that he has done that, and you know, the surgeon has said that he has seen everybody in Ireland. You know, the treatment is in one of the most well-known hospitals in England. The people that have signed the letters, there are two different consultant orthopaedic, you know, one is a professor who have signed the letters stating that he's in need of this treatment. And, you know, I really am just at a loss as to, you know, you know, is something that's obviously just very minor, you know. Perhaps I shouldn't say minor, but I just don't fathom, you know, why this can't be looked at. And I would strongly ask the Minister to please take this back to the Minister of Health, and perhaps just even open up correspondence with the family involved to encourage them, or to show them, if they're not going to accept this, they have given all this detail, to sit down and enter into a correspondence to help this young man, as I said, achieve the best of his ability to achieve, rather than subject him to a life of pain. And it really is excruciating pain, you know, on an ongoing basis, when treatment could help him. And also help his family, because I must say, his mother, as I said, who I've met, is totally distraught at this stage, as I would be, or you would be, if it was our young children.
And Tara.
Yes, I do understand the Senator's concern. I know, having met the Senator, that is, having met this young person, and knows the trauma he is experiencing. I wouldn't. I think that that the door isn't firmly shut here. There is an opening there, as far as I can see. I said, and I repeat, until the HSE receives a valid application from the person, it is not possible to progress this matter any further, which means if there is a further application, a valid application that is submitted, that it'll be further considered by the HSE. So all I can say at this stage is that your concerns and the points you have been made will be brought to the attention of those whose responsibility it is to decide on this.
Minister, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Tara, and thank you so much. The host